It's October, and everybody knows what comes with October. No, I'm not talking about fuel shortages or the heating needing to be turned on. I'm talking about new anime. And with this season comes a bunch of new shows which look interesting and a bunch which don't. That doesn't deter me though, since I'm going to be reviewing as many as I can over the next few weeks, letting you know what I think of them and whether or not you should watch them. Unlike last season, my face hasn't exploded, and so we're seeing my face. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you're stuck with me anyway. Because this is a 2021 autumn anime preview from a different perspective. First up today, we have a show which really does not appeal to me. It's a historical show called the Heike Story, or the Heike Story. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm assuming Heike since Japanese, but I'm not an expert on history, so what do I know? Well, Heike Story is an anime set in old Japan about a girl called Biwa, who is a young girl living as a travelling musician. She travels around with her father, or an old gentleman I think is her father, who gets killed by the powerful rulers of the area because he speaks out about them. Well, he doesn't really. He kind of protects her, and they kill him for it, which really does not endear them to her. These people being, of course, the Taiba clan. Although that seems to get thrown out of the way after the first act, because we then meet Taira no Shigemori, one of the main guys involved in the Taiba family. And he kind of warms up to Biwa. You see, Biwa has a special power. She has heterochromia, two different coloured eyes, and as such she can see the future with her eyes. And Shigemori has the same thing. You got different coloured eyes, you can sort of like see dead people, and Biwa can also see sort of like prophecies and things which will happen. But she's always been told, do not use your power. Your power is a source of hurt. And so she doesn't want to use it. But she goes along with him. She joins her family, almost like an adopted daughter of his, although she dresses like a boy. She always has done, or still does. And so she starts interacting with Shigemori's kids. Now, there's a lot there which really does not appeal to me as who I am. I'm not a huge fan of historic anime. I'm also not a huge fan of anime with weird different art styles, which, as you can probably tell by screenshots, this one definitely has. It looks different. It doesn't look bad, but it looks different. After watching episode 1 of a Heike Story, I can honestly say I'm willing to overlook that, since this is actually pretty good. And that should be expected, to be honest. It's an anime from Science Saru, who've done some fantastic anime in the last few years, and it's directed by Naoko Yamada. Now that name rings a bell. She's one of the key directors at Kyoto Animation, or was until she left. She's now working with Science Saru on this, and you can really see her hallmarks all over this project. The amount of detail in the character animation makes the characters look cute, but defined. They're not cute for the sake of being cute. They are cute and human, almost. Well, definitely, they are human. And as such, you warm up to the characters, especially Biwa, whose animations are fantastic. Now, the Heike Story is an interesting one as well, since even though it is an autumn anime, it actually started airing 3 weeks ago. Episode 3 is already up at Funimation, if you want to watch it. I've reviewed this purely based on episode 1. I'm going to watch episode 2 after this, because I think you should watch it. I'm going to watch it myself as well. Unlike the last anime, this one is one which is basically aimed at me. For one thing, it's an idol anime. I like idol anime. Not all of them. Some are a bit iffy. I hated Love Live Sunshine, sorry. But I did. But this one looks like it's going to be interesting. Now, it's also by a studio I really like, Doga Kobo. You've probably heard me talk about them a lot. They're not a big name studio like the likes of Science Saru, Kyoto Animation, but they've been slowly but surely plodding away, doing interesting shows, doing interesting things. Very solid, very reliable, but rarely big names spectacular. Selection Project is an anime about an idol group coming together. As the name suggests, it's about this company bringing together idols from all over Japan as a selection project. They select idols from 7 parts of the country to come together to make a new group. And the main character is one of those idols who wants to be part of this new group. The adorable and energetic Suzune Miyama, who, as a kid, was hospitalised. She's a very sickly kid who you never know what's going to happen. But she gets over it, mainly through the help of the music by the fantastic, legendary artist Akari Amasawa, who sadly died. But that makes Susanne even more amped and even more pumped to try and become the next big idol. And so she goes to the performances, goes to the selection project shows, and is selected to be one of the last 4 people of her area to be in for a chance of being part of the 7-person group. And we get a snapshot of all the different people in different areas who are blatantly going to become their idol selections as well. I mean, they show about 3 or 4 idol hopefuls in each area, but only one of them really stands out. And so it's quite obvious that the food girl, the rich cat girl, the shy girl who's clearly not quite as shy as she makes out, the girl supported by all her family, you know the types. It's basically idol show stereotypes, checkboxes. And I'm not going to complain, they're pretty cool characters. I look forward to meeting them. When we come back to our main group, the group with Susanne, and a few others as well, and in the end, she doesn't get through. She's in a group with another couple of strong ones, and the girl who gets through is a friendly one who clearly sees that she shouldn't have got through. But somehow she did. Susanne is knocked out of the competition and walks home dejectedly. Now, Selection Project wasn't perfect. There are a couple of things which jump out at me. It's very formulaic in terms of by the books, numbers, what I want to call it, idols coming together, forming it together. The main idol died in a car crash. We've seen that a few times. This definitely reminds a lot of people of Idly Pride. I don't mind that, because Idly Pride was a fun show. It was a good show from when I started watching it. It also reminds me a lot of 22/7, of idols coming together and watching a group form, which you don't see a huge amount in some idol shows, but ones that show it, I tend to like more. I'm talking about things like Locadol and 22/7, and crucially Wake Up Girls is one which I always fall back to, of that type of let's get the band together show. I'm not going to include things like Love Live, since Love Live is a different kettle of fish altogether. Now, Selection Project is definitely worth watching if you can stand idol shows. It might not be as good as some people might think it would be. I'm going to stick with it. It looks my cup of tea. It might not be yours. If you do want to watch it, you can find it airing over at Funimation. Now, whilst we're on the subject of shows which are my cup of tea, let's go back to the most obvious watch this title of the season. In fact, if I remember, I'm actually going to put the watch list up there for the entirety of this preview, since it's going to be a watch this show. Welcome back to A Restaurant to Another World for Season 2. Now, I'm not going to go into this too much, because there's not a whole lot to explain about Restaurant to Another World. It's a restaurant in Japan, which on a Saturday closes its doors. You might think, why close your doors on a Saturday? It's the busiest day of the week. But it might be, but it gets a lot more custom through its other door, because there's magic on this restaurant. It is the Isekai Shokudo, the restaurant to another world. And doors magically appear in another world. People find these doors and go through, and we enter into this restaurant where they're presented with a strange new world. A food they may have eaten in the past in their world if they're lucky, never to its quality, and never is cheap. As all manner of fantastical and magical creatures end up in this Japanese Western restaurant. Now, this is definitely following in very much from the first season. We're introduced to a new character coming into a restaurant who gets a whole, where am I, what is this, why are these people eating this food, why is it so clean? And today's new character is a huntress, an adventurer who gets a hunt to go out and kill goblins, and wants to find out what the goblin's treasure is, so goes into his cave where she finds the door. Enters the door and is presented with this fantastic restaurant, loads of people in it just enjoying their food dramatically hugely. She recognises a few of them: legendary sage, legendary swordsman, loads of people who she recognises from her world, just randomly all together. Some of the most powerful people, just chatting away, eating food. And so she decides to order something, and going through every menu, they always try and find one item they like, and surprisingly enough, the cat girl, which is more like a demon girl with cat ears, finds a souffle cheesecake. Now, I've had souffle cheesecakes, Japanese cheesecakes technically, and they are absolutely beautiful. If you've never had a Japanese or souffle cheesecake, find one. They are soft, they are unctuous. They are baked cheesecakes, but not baked in the same way an American baked cheesecake are, or definitely not the same way as a British no baked cheesecake is. A souffle cheesecake is cooked slowly and it rises. So it's soft and fluffy and bouncy and doesn't fill you up, but fills you up, but you don't realise it's filling you up. Look, I was watching this episode and I was waiting for my food to arrive. I'd ordered something out and that was a wrong decision. My stomach was rumbling watching this episode. And the second half has our main waitress, Aletta, going home with the cutlets for boss and with her own favourite food, which is a corn pottage. And we get to see her enjoy it with her mistress, who is also a person who goes to a restaurant. That's the whole story from the first season. Fantastic show though. Definitely go and watch it. I've been saying this for the entire thing. It's still up there. Watch on Crunchyroll. And finally today, we come back to 86, Season 2. A continuation of a show which I did enjoy. It wasn't the best show, but I enjoyed it. From a couple of seasons back. Now 86 is based on a light novel where the 86 are a group of people who have been shunned by society. They're sent off to concentration camps, away from the public, and the pure-blooded, silver-haired, silver-eyed maidens and men of the nation can survive without being pestered by these annoying 86. It's very questionable society, let's call it that. Meanwhile, the 86 are sent off to war to fight their battles. The autonomous drones, they're called, because they don't want the public to think there's actually humans in these things fighting on their behalf. They want to think, okay, these are just automated robots fighting for us. Our main character, Vladilena, is an operator. She works for the military, but rather than going out and fighting, she stands in a control room barking orders at the 86. Or that's who she was in the first season, the first time we met her. But as she learns what the truth of what's going on, she learns that there are real humans there, which she knows that because she works there. And she wonders, why are we sending these kids out to die? These kids have got personalities, these kids have got futures, they could have futures if they were given a chance. So why just send them out to die? Why does she get to live a luxury lifestyle while they just get to go out and die on their behalf? And so there's this whole duality behind what is seen as a social norm of just ignoring the bad things and her morality. And after the first season, we get to see a real change in Lena. She's now got a red streak in her hair in recognition for the 86. Rather than wearing the classic white or blue uniforms, she's refused a promotion and wears the black uniform. She doesn't have to wear a black uniform, in fact it's frowned upon, but she does it anyway as a sign of protest. And so season 2 starts with her in charge of a new squadron, because at the end of the first season, her original squadron is sent on their final mission. The theory is, as these kids grow up and become more strong and more powerful, rather than getting to a point of them threatening to destabilise the norm, they're sent on a final mission, a suicide mission. And so Lena's given command of a new unit led by Shidanida, who is, I think her codename is Cyclops, a very headstrong, powerful female leader of her squadron. Shidan refers to Lena as her queen, the queen of a squadron, the one who gives the orders. But again, Lena has learned from her time with Spearhead Squadron and now treats them differently. She doesn't treat them as tools or weapons. She treats them as humans, and I think that's why Shidan respects her and says, "my queen." On the flip side of that, we've now got the continuation of the second half of the story, one with Shin and his crew, the original Spearhead Squadron, or the five remaining members of it, who at the end of the first season were sent on a suicide mission. And we get to see what happens. They are pretty much out to die, but they don't. They wake up in another country, the country which basically created the bad guys, but has basically turned against the bad guys now, just as the republic of the bad guys, I think, best way to describe them. Their leader, Ernst Zimmermann. Now, something about Zimmermann makes me think he's a bad guy. The way he carries himself, the way he looks at things, the way he converses with his underlings, stinking feeling in the back of her head that he's not going to be a good guy. The girl with the house with the former Spearhead Squadron, with Shin and Malot, however, will be Frederica, who is a little kid who is basically adopted as his daughter, but isn't really. He's very headstrong, very stuck in her ways. I'm person in charge of his house. You can't rule right against me. Why is people coming in invading my house? Play with me. She's very bratty. There's something just likeable about her. And it's got spoiled at the end of it, but not having a scene as it seems with Frederica as well. Because Zimmerman refers to her as, I think, Empress or Princess. So is she somehow connected to the former Empire, which unleashed the Legion? Is he really a bad guy? Is she a bad guy? Is she a good guy? Is he a good... There's so much good questions here, and 86 is one of those shows which really likes to drip feed the information. And it's one which I'm going to go back and watch more of. It's a really entertaining show. If you do want to watch 86, you can find it airing over at Crunchyroll. And so that was the Heike Story, Selection Project, Restaurant to Another World, and 86. What did you think of them? I will let you know what I think, and surprisingly good I found them. But was I wrong? Was I right? Am I being too kind on these shows? Let me know in the comments. And join me next time for more. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on Twitch. Bye bye.